Ford has decided to delay the production of an electric vehicle at a plant in Ontario by at least 2 years. Ford says it's because there is simply not as much demand as they were hoping for when it comes to electric vehicles. The SUV was scheduled to begin production at the plant in Oakville, west of Toronto, next year. The move now means, though, that a current layoff of about 2,700 workers at Ford will be extended. Ford says it's waiting for demand to grow in the EV market and also looking at ways to try and reduce the price tag to incentivize people to buy the vehicles. Ford was supposed to start making it next year. The union that represents workers at that plant saying they're extremely disappointed by what Ford has done. Our members have done nothing but build best-in-class vehicles for Ford, and they deserve certainty in the company's future production plans. Let's bring in automotive journalist Petrina Gentile. Petrina, good to see you as always. Your thoughts on this delay and the implications of it?
You know what? It's a devastating blow, Todd, not only to Ford and the workers there and the layoffs that are naturally coming, but also for Ontario, for the economy, for the Canadian economy. We're building Ontario as an EV hub. This is where vehicles are going to be made when it comes to this electric future. You had these large commitments from Ford, investing $1.8 billion dollars into retooling this plant. The Fed's coming up with hundreds of millions of dollars to put into this plant. And then you see, unfortunately, this delay of 2 years now. I mean, they say they're still going to begin retooling the plant this year, but sales are still going to be a ways away, and it is quite devastating.
Interesting that there does seem to be a pullback by automakers right now when it comes to EVs. These were supposed to be the next big thing, but in fact, there seems to be, reluctance out there in the market where people are hesitating to buy electric vehicles. They're thinking twice. They're looking at, hybrids or maybe sticking with, the old school gas-powered cars, at least for now, which forces companies like Ford, GM, and others to retool their plans, I guess.
Yes, absolutely. And also for Ford, you have to be realistic too, and not just Ford, other manufacturers that are building electric vehicles, they can't make money on them. That's a reality of it. They're not making profits on these vehicles. They're making profits on their gas-powered vehicles. To produce an electric vehicle, it's very expensive. Those batteries are expensive. The critical minerals for those vehicles are expensive. So that's also an issue. They need to make money. And what we've seen to encourage people to buy these vehicles is a drop in prices. So Ford actually dropped the price of their Mach-E, their Mustang Mach-E all-electric SUV. They've dropped the price of the Ford Lightning. They sort of followed in the footsteps of Tesla, which has done numerous cuts in their electric vehicles over the past couple of months to try to get consumers on board. Because electric vehicles are expensive. In Canada, the average price is about $77,000. And that is a lot of money for most Canadians, especially when we look at, the economic uncertainty we're in, the high interest rates. They really aren't in the right price range for many consumers. Not only that, the infrastructure is lagging behind. So there's a lot of issues with the public charging stations. Right now, we have maybe about 27,000 across Canada. In order to meet the 2035 targets, we need 440,000 EV chargers. So there are a lot of issues with getting electric vehicles and consumers on board and buying them. So this is unfortunately what many other manufacturers are doing as well. We heard from GM a couple months ago; they're delaying production of their EV trucks as well in the U.S. So this is quite common. And Toyota, who was, the company that worked on hybrids and got a lot of backlash in the past for, not bringing out their electric vehicles fast enough, seems to maybe have been in the right with taking that approach with hybrids and less so on the all electric front.
Yeah, so perhaps overly ambitious in terms of how EVs were actually going to resonate, Petrina, with, car buyers.
Exactly.
All right. Thanks so much for this. It's always great to see you. Appreciate you taking the time for CTV News today.
Thanks, Todd. Great to see you.
Petrina Gentile is an automotive journalist based in our country.